stuck. I said, how many times have you studied it? He said, only once. So you haven't even studied it even once. So, those who violate the attribution or the attribute of Allah's non-similarity to created beings fall into what we call al-mujassima wal-jahawiyya, anthropomorphists and localists. Anthropomorphists, what do? They attribute to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala qualities of human beings. So they will take the word, they take the word hand and understand it literally. They take the word face and they understand it literally. Even though in Arabic language, we have a lot of metaphor. The Quran says, إِنَّ الَّذِينَ يَأْكُلُونَ أَمْوَالَ الْيَتَامَى ظُلْمًا, those who devour the orphans' money unjustly, إِنَّمَا يَأْكُلُونَ فِي بُطُونِهِمْ نَارًا, they eat fire in their bellies. Does a person who eat the money of an orphan, do they really eat fire in their bellies? Do they physically eat fire in their bellies? Or they eat something that's haram and ugly, that will burn their life and destroy their life in the same way as fire would destroy a person who will come into contact with it. So those who violate this attribute, they end up being anthropomorphists, or they become localists. The word localist comes from the word local, direction. So these are those who say that Allah exists in a direction. Someone, for example, says, Allah is above us. Well, what do you mean by above? Above for someone in Australia is different from above for someone in Britain, isn't it? Above for someone in the ground floor is different from above for someone in the second floor. If someone is on the moon and he says above, what do you mean by above? Which direction? So you can't ascribe to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala a direction. Now, these two groups of people, anthropomorphists and localists, what is the consequence of these two schools? And first, what is the hukm of them according to Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah? What's the hukm according to Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah? Are they not Muslims?
Well, they mean Muslim for disobedient.
Yeah. You just read it, isn't it? Yes. They are disobedient. And the reason why I'm saying this, brothers and sisters, because unfortunately, we have adopted the same way of thinking of Wahhabis. And this might be upsetting to some of you. Barelvis, not all of them, some, by the way, this dichotomy Barelvi Deobandi doesn't exist in the Arab world. So don't try to classify me, right? Don't try to classify me. I'm neither Barelvi nor Deobandi. That's something that belongs to the subcontinent. It was infused by the British colonial powers, and people are fighting each other. Not all Deobandis, by the way, are Wahhabis, and not all Barelvis are proper Sufis, right? So you should deal with everyone individually. Barelvis, possibly because of the long history of clash with Deobandis, some of them have come to the extremity of throwing aspersions of kufr on others. When we went to Bradford once, some people were asking Habib Ali al-Jafri to say that Deobandis are not Muslims and they're not going to go to Jannah. I said to them, I can't, Jannah is not mine. I can't distribute it to people. I say, Ismail, you go get 2 palaces in Jannah. Huh? Mubarak, go and take that direction, that's yours. No one can do that, isn't it? So we have to understand one important thing, because in a city like Birmingham, where I live, there's so much trouble as well. People use the masajid and they're all shouting and shouting and shouting and shouting. And by the way, the crowds don't understand. I heard some people explaining Sanusiya in a masjid. I saw some videos explaining Sanusiya in a masjid, and I bet none of the people sitting in the masjid understand what contingent means. They don't understand. Masakin. It's nothing to do with the, it's not to belittle the people, but you should teach people what's suitable for them. When you teach something, you have to teach people what they can understand. Otherwise, you'll be just like losing your time and your mind. Sidi Bilal, can they take their voice a bit down? Yeah, just a little bit. Right, so we need to understand that what makes us distinguished as Ahlus Sunnah wal Jama'ah is that we don't use the coin of takfir easily. We don't excommunicate others. Once we start excommunicating, there is no difference between this group and that group, isn't it? You're basically falling into the same trap. Why do we keep saying to people, where is the rahmah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam? He was keen on embracing everyone. We welcome everyone. We welcome everyone. It's actually very frustrating that you will find some Sufis embracing non-Muslims and welcoming them into their masajid and doing all of these interfaith dialogues, and when it comes to their Muslim brothers, astaghfirullah al-azim. Like I walk into any masjid and pray salah next to someone, like yesterday, Salatul Jum'ah. And the guy was looking at me as if I'm a parasite because I'm putting my hands down. Possibly thought I'm Shia or something like that. Even if someone is a Shia, what's wrong with that? He's a Muslim. He says, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. That's it. Finished. Isn't it? Finished. Anything else we can differ on. Let alone now, is the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam here? Is he not here? He is like this. He is like that. This is called the transcendental realm. This is alamul ghaib. This is the unseen. Neither me nor you can actually know that for sure, 100%. So, when we deal with anthropomorphists, some people, if you don't do takfir on the Wahhabis, they will say, I'll do takfir on you. Wallahi, there's no exaggeration here. I used to teach in Watford. Some very nice brothers who claim, that's very funny. Wallahi, that's very funny. They claim that they love Ahlul Bayt. This brother, we love Ahlul Bayt, ya Sayyid, ya Sayyid. He's like, we love Awlad Fatima, we love Awlad Fatima. I said, Jazakallah khair. And then he invited me to a couple of mawlids and a couple of classes. And once one person came and he said, you have to do takfir on Shia and on Wahhabi. I said, no, I can't do takfir on Shia and Wahhabi. You want to do takfir? Bismillah, no problem. That's your business. You meet Allah on the day of Qiyamah, and when He asks you, why do you do takfir on other Muslims? You have an answer for Him. But I can't do takfir on anyone unless they are open about denying the Risala of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and the uluhiyah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So you're not doing takfir on? I said, no, I'm not. So what do you think of the Brahmins? I said, they're Muslims, they're a fraction of Islam. They're one of the many groups of Muslims. Islam accommodates me and you. I disagree with the Wahhabiyah day and night, but they're Muslims. I disagree with the Muslim Brotherhood day and night, but they're Muslims. Sayyidina Ali radiallahu anhu fought the Khawarij, right? He fought them. They fought him in the battle, isn't it? And then when some of his followers Sayyidina Ali, said to him, Akuffarun hum? Are these Khawarij who are fighting you? They killed the Sahaba, right? They killed the Sahaba. And they killed Sayyidina Ali himself. Are they kuffar? Qala min al-kufri farru. He said they ran away from kufr. They're not kuffar. قالوا فمن? So why are we fighting them? قال هم إخوان لنا. They are our brothers. بغوا علينا. They transgressed against us. إخوان لنا بغوا علينا. So they said, so what are they? قال ليس من طلب الحق فأخطأه كمن طلبه فأصابه. The one who seeks truth and he gets to it is not like the one who seeks truth and he doesn't get to it. So these are brothers, the Wahhabiyya, they are our brothers. We both set on a journey looking for truth. We believe we got to it and we believe they didn't. They believe they got to it and they believe we didn't. Isn't it? On the day of Qiyamah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will reward and punish everyone in accordance. صح? Why do we then attach ourselves to Ash'arism or Tasawwuf or Madhab? Because we believe that this is the safest. This is the safest option. This is what makes more sense. Isn't it? This is the completest story. Other stories have a lot of details that are incomplete, that are not there. So it's incomplete. But this is the most complete one. So you don't put yourself in a danger and choose a lower version and say, hopefully I will get away with it. No. You do your best. Well, for us, this is the haqq. Isn't it? This is the haqq. As far as our knowledge in life is related. At this point in life. What happens in 20 years? Allahu A'lam. So one of you might decide to become Wahhabi. You never know. Sah? You never know. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guide us to truth. Don't say, may Allah protect us. No. Say, Allahumma hdina ila makhtulifa fihi min al-haqq bi-idhnik. Oh Allah, guide us to the truth regarding which people differ. People differ regarding truth. Everyone claims it. Naam, Sidi.
Sheikh, let's say, for example, you have two groups, Group A and Group B. According to Group A's belief, if you do or say a certain thing, it's kufr. And Group B actually does that. So how do you tackle that situation?
We tackle that situation by looking at that saying. Is this a kufr saying? Regardless of Group A and Group B. We go back to the ulama, the real ulama, who are not interested. Is this a statement of kufr? Well, that group says it's a statement. I don't care about what does that group say. If someone believes in certain things, they will say, you're not British if you don't do this. If you don't drink tea with milk, you're not Pakistani. Well, what if a Pakistani doesn't, he likes black tea? He is not Pakistani. He is what? He's Bangladeshi. Right? No. We should deal with the statement as a statement. Is this conducive to kufr? Is this statement conducive to kufr? Yes, it is. Let's say, yes, it is conducive to kufr, Sheikh. Well, is this person who is saying this, does he understand that what he says is conducive to kufr? Can it be understood in a different way? They say, the ulama say, if someone says something that's 99% conducive to kufr and 1% conducive to belief, we should take the 1%. In kufr, it's very difficult. The man who came to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and said, "I'dil," like, be just. This division is not for the sake of Allah. Isn't that conducive to kufr? He's slandering the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Did the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam say, "Oh, he's a kafir"? No, he didn't. Sayyidina Abu Bakr as-Siddiq wanted to go and kill the guy. Him and Umar ibn Khattab, they went after the man to kill him. Where did they find him? Praying. So he just slandered the Prophet ﷺ and he went, Allahu Akbar. Why didn't Sayyidina Abu Bakr kill him? He came back to the Prophet ﷺ and the Prophet ﷺ smiled. And he said, you found him praying, isn't it? That's the aqliyah, that's the mentality of the Sahaba. Someone prays 5 times a day, or he prays. He says to you, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, and you still say to him, no. You know what? Your Ashhadu is not perfect enough. Your Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, I don't trust you. This is su'u dhan. This is ill thinking. You know what I mean? This is ill thinking. If someone says he's a Muslim, khalas. أمرت أن أقاتل الناس حتى يشهدوا أن لا إله إلا الله وأن محمد رسول الله فإذا قالوها, if they say لا إله إلا الله محمد رسول الله عصموا مني دماءهم وأموالهم, they have fortified their lives and their money, meaning they are inviolable. Someone says, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah, khalas, he's my Muslim brother. What about what he hides in his chest? Well, do you have a key to what is in the chest? When Sayyidina Usama ibn Zayd radiallahu ta'ala was in the battlefield, and he was running after one person, fighting him, and then the man realized he's going to be killed, and he said, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. The sword is in his throat. He says, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. It was obvious to Sayyidina Usama that this is a lie. So he went ahead and killed him. And he came back to the Prophet ﷺ. Did the Prophet ﷺ say to him, oh, you know what? You were right. he said it to escape death. What did he say to him? You tell me, what did he say? What will you do with La ilaha illallah on the day of Qiyamah? How are you going to respond to that? Do you know, as Imam al-Ghazali says, if you spend all your life without cursing Iblis, Allah will not punish you. You don't have to say Ash-Shaytan al-Rajim. You don't have to say La'anahullah. Even though Allah has cursed Ash-Shaytan. But you don't have to accustom your tongue to la'an, cursing. You don't have to. Will you be punished if you don't swear? No. But what if you swear? You will be punished. Why do you have to be dirty and not to be clean? We are sure that being clean is good. We're not sure if you get dirty for the right reason or the wrong reason. We don't know. Will it be for the right reason or the wrong reason? So it's always better to be in the safe side. I'm telling you, there are people from Ahlus Sunnah, quote unquote, who are very mean in their character. And there are people from Wahhabiyya, quote unquote, who are very excellent in their character. Adab, good character, means nothing to madhab. It's nothing to do with the madhab. People of tasawwuf, there are people who come to the dhikr and in tariqah and all of these things, and they spend their time chit-chatting and slandering and backbiting others. And there are Salafis who are diligent in knowledge. There are people of tasawwuf who talk about ilman, seeking knowledge, and they have no himmah whatsoever. And there are Salafis out there who study and diligent and memorize the mutun. Talk to me about the Quran. When it comes to tajweed and stuff like that, why is it that most of the people who give the ijazah in tajweed proper are Salafis? Because they do take care of that. Isn't it? Like try to find any Quran teacher in London or in the South. Most of them are actually Salafis. And our brothers, their tajweed is appalling. I wish I can get someone to come and sit and recite the whole Quran perfectly to me and give him ijazah so that the sanad is in Ahlus Sunnah. But it's the Salafis who come. Alhamdulillah, I don't teach them. Just as a side note. I don't give them ijazah. But they are diligent. Some of them are actually diligent. So, this is those who violate this attribute, they will fall into one of these two. The fourth attribute is what we call al-qiyam bin nafs, self-subsistence. What do we mean by self-subsistence? Self-subsistence means the negation of needing a locus or location or a determiner, creator or an actualizer. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala qa'imun bi nafsi. When I say qa'imun, like standing, qa'im literally means what? Standing. I say, me and you are qa'imun bi ghayrihi. We are standing by others. Meaning, why are you standing? Because your body holds itself. Why is it holding itself? Because you have energy. And that energy that holds your body together is held, the mass of your body. What is it held by? The place that you are standing on, isn't it? The space that you are in, isn't it? So you're qa'im because you are standing, you are together because there is a location that holds you. You're sitting in it, you're sleeping in it, you're standing in it, isn't it? It says qa'imun bi ghayrihi. You're qa'im, your life continues because someone has given you this life in the first place. You are here because your mother and father got married. So they gave you your direct existence. And then you continue your existence because there is food available for you, so you eat it. So you are qa'im, yes, but you're not qa'imun bi nafsik, you're not self-subsistent, you are dependent on something else. You have dependence, you are not independent. You can call this attribute, sometimes you call it qa'imun bi nafsi, means independent. But the reason why we don't use the word independent that much, because people might think, oh, independent means like dependent and independent. So I'm an independent man, I'm an independent woman. No, independent means like he does not need a space, he does not need a location, he does not need an actualizer, he does not need a determiner. سلب افتقاره لشيء من الأشياء. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not need a location. He does not need a locus. He does not need a determiner. He does not need someone to give him his existence. Why? Because his existence is beginningless existence. Yes?
Is this sort of explaining the verse Allahu Samad? Is this the same thing?
Surah Qul Huwa Allahu Ahad. This surah, how many ayahs are there? Count. Qul Huwa Allahu Samad. لم يلد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد. 4, isn't it? 4 ayat. They say this surah in its 4 ayat destroy the 4 bases of polytheism. There are 8 bases of polytheism. قل هو الله أحد. Ahad means there is not many of him, so removes multiplicity, and it also removes what we call he is not composed of parts. So these are 2 removed by that. We call it كم متصل and كم منفصل. We'll talk about it later. Continuous. Look, it's here. Yeah, it's here. Continuous quantity and discrete quantity. So he is one. What does that mean? It means that he is not composed of part and there is not many of him. There is no other God. قل هو الله أحد. Then Allah Samad. As-Samad means that everyone is in need of him and he doesn't need anyone. So he does not need a place. He does not need an actualizer, right? And that's it. Allah Samad means that everyone needs him and he doesn't need anyone. These are 2 things. Yes, you might not need anyone, but no one needs you as well. You might have money. You have a house. You say, I don't need anyone. And then people will say to you, and we don't need you either. There is substitutes to you. But he doesn't need anyone, but yet everyone needs him. And then lam yalid. Lam yalid, it means what? It means that he has no one similar to him in genus, and he does not. Lam yalid wa lam yulid. Afan. Lam yalid wa lam yulid. It means he does not have a beginning and he does not have an end. Because if someone is born, yulad, if someone is begotten, it means he had a start. Yalid, it means he needs to continue. Lam yalid wa lam yulid. And then finally, walam yakul lahu kufuwan ahad. No one is similar unto him. Similar in what? In his actions, in his entity, and his attributes. So that negates what? Similarity and having similarity from the side of God or from the side of created beings. So there is no created being that is similar to him and he is not similar to anyone. So Surah Qul Huwa Allah can take a lecture on its own. Right? So we say that negation of having need to locus or a determiner. So he doesn't need a locus. Why? Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not an attribute. What do you mean by a locus? Locus means something that something else lives in or subsists in. For example, can I say white without imagining something in which white dwells? When I say white, what comes to your mind? You tell me. Say white. Yeah, you close your eyes and I will say something. Close your eyes. Close your eyes. Green. You just open them. Don't worry, no one will steal your shirt or anything. Don't worry. So close your eyes. Red. What came to your mind?
Just the color red,
on what?
like a color like a paint.
A paint. So it is on something. It doesn't stand alone. You have color. When I say, for example, health, health doesn't stand alone. You say, well, if I say healthy, you imagine a person, you imagine a dog, you imagine anything but is healthy. New, you imagine something, whether it's a shirt, trousers, a desk, book, isn't it? Could be anything. New house, right? So an attribute needs an entity to subsist in. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not need a location because he's not an attribute. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is what? Is not an attribute. So he does not need a locus because he is not an attribute. And he does not need a determiner. Why? Because he is not a potential. A potential needs a determiner. So for example, this book or this notebook is on my left hand side. It can potentially be on the other side. It's on the table, it can potentially be on the floor. It is still, it can potentially be moved. So the fact that it accepts that potentiality, it needs a determiner. That's why when I ask you, or I ask my daughter, can you get me notebook? She will say, which notebook? Where is it? So she's asking about what? Determiner. How can I determine it? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not need a determiner. Why? He's not contingent. He's not potential. He's not created. Therefore, you can't use for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Where is He? When I ask, MashaAllah, brother Ismail, alhamdulillah, he got married and he has a boy. When was that boy born? MashaAllah. When? You ask about what? Determiner. So you can't use that for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Where is Ismail? Oh, he's sitting here. Where? That's a determiner. Because he's what? He's a potential. Ismail and me and you, we are all potentials. Our existence is a possible existence. Now, how can Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala be in no need for location while everything needs a location? Someone asks that question. Everything I can think of needs a location, isn't it? Even the thoughts in your mind have a location. When I say, where is that idea? In my mind. Where is that idea? In my heart. If I say to Ismail, MashaAllah, Ismail, you love the Quran. Where is that love of the Quran? He says, it's in my heart, Shaykh. Well, he can't take it out, but so everything that we can think of has what? A location, whether it's abstract or it's concrete. So how can we say that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't need a location while everything needs a location? The answer to that is, your assumption is based on your knowledge. Your assumption is what? Is based on your knowledge, which is reached by induction. You know what induction is? What's induction? Induction is looking at sample things in the universe and making a conclusion. That's called induction. There are two types of knowledge: inductive knowledge and deductive knowledge. Inductive knowledge is by reviewing the samples in the lab, for example. You notice that every time two atoms of hydrogen meet one atom of oxygen, it turns into water. You tried it once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times. You came to, or every atom of water, every drop of water that you looked at under the microscope, it is made of what? 2 atoms of hydrogen and what? And 1 oxygen. Based on these samples, you came to the conclusion that you said, water is hydrogen and oxygen. It's a union of that. Before the discovery of AIDS, for example, they used to come with assumptions that it could be this, it could be this, it could be this, isn't it? It could be that. Then they started looking at samples and they said, well, this is a fatal disease and it is called AIDS. What does AIDS stand for? Do you know? You don't know? Astaghfirullah. English is not my first language, by the way. So A, what does it stand for? Acquired. And I, what does it stand for? Immune. And D, what does it stand for? Huh? Deficiency. Acquired immune deficiency. It's an acquired deficiency in the immune system. Right? That's what AIDS stands for. So, they came to call it AIDS based on samples. They came to the conclusion. So that's called inductive knowledge. So most of our knowledge is that relates to the universe is based on what? Inductive knowledge. Is what? Based on what? Inductive knowledge. We give people calpo. Why? Because we review in different situations. Oh, when we gave them Calpol, it worked. Then we give them Calpol again, it worked. We give them Calpol again, it worked. So we base our knowledge and assumptions on induction. Our induction is limited to contingent universe, to the created universe. We have everything around us, it's always related to location and place. So we cannot draw similarity between uncreated and created. There is a big difference between created and uncreated. Therefore, if someone says, how come that everything needs a location and you guys are saying that God does not need a location? We say, yes, because you make that assumption based on the knowledge. Remember at the very beginning, brothers and sisters, do you remember here? Do you remember what we said here? We said that, if you would like for making, this one. So a claim is not considered until there is evidence, and that evidence has to be of the same category. If the claim is material, then we're looking for a tangible evidence. If the claim is abstract, then we're looking at what? A rational evidence. If the claim is conventional, like law, then you get me a proof from the law. So if someone says, why is driving through a red light punishable? You have to get a proof for that from the law. You can't say, because you know what, it makes the society look ugly. Well, yes, but this is not what the law says. Ismail, you need to wash your face. صح? Yeah. Otherwise you will sleep and snore. Right. Is it a problem if I don't understand this intellectually? This is very important, brothers and sisters. If someone says, Sheikh, you're talking about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala self-subsistent, which means that He doesn't need a location, He does not dwell in a place. You know what? It's very difficult for me to visualize this. It's very difficult for me to can I just take it as it is and without, yes, it is fine. It's not a problem. Number one, because human beings only absorb images and process them through their senses. And this is beyond experience. If it's beyond experience, لا يكلف الله نفسا إلا وسعها. You know when Imam al-Razi rahimahullah ta'ala met an old woman and he asked her, she asked her students, who's this? They said, this man knows 170 proofs for the existence of God. She said, if he needs 170 proofs, it means he has 170 misconceptions. So does it really cause me trouble if I don't read philosophy or no? Do you have a faith? Do you have i'tiqad, clean i'tiqad? Alhamdulillah. But this is to equip you if you need to ever to respond and to defend. Secondly, if a location is possible and you can imagine it, your realization of things will be bigger than the creator. That's the second thing. Is it a problem if I do not absorb this intellectually? No, it's not a problem. Why? Because if we will say to you, if it is possible for God to be in a location and you can imagine that location, that means you have to be God yourself, isn't it? If you can understand everything about God in precision, then you have to be God yourself. So it is very normal to have part of your knowledge of God ambiguous. That's the meaning of the word faith. Faith means I submit. Who is married here from the brothers? Yes. Does your wife love you? Huh? Of course she does. Do you love your wife? Right. She believes you when you say you love her? I hope so. What's going on? What type of marriage is that? Are you married? I hope so. There is part of our life where we base our relationships on trust, isn't it? What's that trust? Faith. You walk into a marriage and the person says, I love you, and you say, I love you. Yes, you see manifestations of that in gifts and in good treatment and good companionship, but bigger part of it is what? Faith, trust. So in our relation with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we try to make that rationalized and understandable. But at a certain point, well, this makes a lot of sense to me, but there will always be empty parts. Yes, Sidi.
At this point, isn't it that nobody should be able to absorb it intellectually, because we can only sort of think of things that are matter, and God is not matter, so therefore we cannot fully understand this point, we just have to accept it.
Yes, this is exactly what I'm saying. I'm saying at a certain point, you need to take off the two shoes which we call intellect. The mind will fail. The mind can take to a specific point and then says, I can't function furthermore, right? So what we're saying here is, if you have to understand everything, you will have to be God yourself. And since you are not God yourself, there will be part which you do not understand. What is it? I believe it. I believe it. Like, I understand from Sidi Bilal and from Ismail that Ismail is going to bring me from Manchester to Oldham every time. So I come with that assumption. If I don't come with that assumption, if I fully understand, I trust Ismail's commitment to that. But if I don't trust him, what will happen? I will try to make my own arrangements, isn't it? But everyone comes with what? With assumption. Part of that assumption is based on rationality, so that the rest of it makes sense to you. But once you reach that level of rationality, then you leave the rest, and that's the role of faith. You know, a good example of that is it says that as humans, we are composed of aql, intellect, and heart. If you try to process what should be processed by the aql through the heart, or what is, for example, the Salafiyin, we talk about them quite a lot today. What's the biggest problem of Salafis? They want to rationalize everything. By the way, in that sense, they're very close to secularists. A lot of people don't see that. Salafis and secularists are very similar in their way of thinking, even though they don't like each other. If you say to someone that Salafis and modernists or secularists are very similar, they say, Astaghfirullah al-Azim. The secularists say that Salafis are backward, and Salafis say that secularists are what? It's very, very out of Islam, isn't it? But they think in the same way. What's their problem? They try to rationalize everything. What do you mean by trying to rationalize everything? They are processing spiritual experiences through the mind. It doesn't make any sense. You have to use a machine for what it has been made for. Imagine if you have a blender that clearly says use it only for juice, and then you start using it for solids. Or you have a nail clipper and you try to use that nail clipper for cutting wires. You're damaging it, isn't it? You're damaging that. Or you have, for example, these glasses, you try to use it instead of, you take a lens of this glass and put it in the microscope. Your lens of the microscope is broken. Say, okay, no problem. This is a lens and that's a lens, isn't it? This is a lens and that's a lens. Khalas, Bismillah. Or you take these, contact lenses. One of the sisters, her microscope in the lab broke down. She says, no problem, I'm going to replace the lens. Or you have a lens, contact lens, and put it here. You lost one of these, you put it here, and then one is normal. Can that happen? You see, you're laughing. But people do that. Practically, they do that. They try to understand spiritual experiences through the mind. Or someone studies tasawwuf in an academic context. They take tariqah and spiritual experience. I have seen people like that. Wallahi, you laugh. And some of our Sufi brothers and sisters, they fall into the trap. Especially I call them the Sufi goofies. Like the new ones, the newcomers, the freshers. Like someone has just started following a sheikh and he's just 5-6 months old. And then he goes to a retreat. You know, these brothers and sisters, they sit at the back. This is a message to all of you. They sit at the back of the retreat, and what do? Oh, subhanallah. They love their sheikh. It's fine to love your sheikh. But you know what, mashallah, my sheikh does a lot of karamat. And then the other says, like what? You know, yesterday I came and I wanted to look for a husband, and the sheikh said to me, when are you going to get married? Subhanallah, how did the sheikh know it? Wow, that must be serious. He's a serious sheikh. It just happened by coincidence. If someone is from outside and sitting and listening to that, they will laugh at you. They will joke. Believe it or not. There is one specific individual who's in academia. I know her, not personally. She's in academia. She did a PhD on Sufi retreats. Seriously, in Oxford. She got the PhD. Anyway, so she attended some rihlas with Sheikh Hamzan, and this is what she put in her PhD, that she was sitting with some sisters, and then the sisters said, subhanallah, look at these mashayukh, their faces are full of light. I don't blame the sister, I blame the sisters who talk like that. So another sister who's like new said, I can't see any light, it's just vitamin D deficiency. True? Very true. Another sister was saying, you know Sheikh so-and-so, specific famous Sheikh. I heard people saying that he is the Khidr. Wow, he's the Khidr. You know, like the Naqshbandis. As soon as you walk into the Naqshband, when is Imam al-Mahdi coming? I don't know. I left him in the bus. Or when Sidi Bilal, it's too much, isn't it? Like, talk about something serious. And these exact brothers, wallahi, if you ask them to recite Quran, recite Fatiha, they will not recite it properly. If you ask them to sit in a fiqh course, they will not. I was teaching to some Naqshbandis in London, Al-Husna class. And they couldn't take it. Very simple knowledge. Very, very simple knowledge. Like how to perform salah, how to do wudu. Very simple. Fard al-ain. And they couldn't take it. This is very difficult, Sheikh. And they are asleep. And as soon as you say dhikr, everyone jumps up. And there was one guy in the middle of the class. Sidi Bilal, you will laugh at this. This guy is in Canada now. In the middle of the class, he gives into a halaq. He goes, I freak out. So what I did, I thought possibly he does that because it's the end of the day and this is Risalatul Mustarshideen, so it's on Tasawwuf. You know what? I'm going to change Risalatul Mustarshideen, the Tasawwuf class, with the Fiqh class. So make the Fiqh at the end of the day and the Tasawwuf in the morning. So in the end of the day, in the middle of the Fiqh, we're talking about Istinja, and he goes, I said, what? Do you need to go to the toilet? Go to the bathroom. We need, seriously, we need to calm down. We need to calm down and make sense of ourselves so that people can make sense of us, right? Do we have to have blank areas in our thinking? Yes, we do. In our thinking, there has to be some blank areas. Why? Blank areas indicate that we have limitation as humans. As humans, there is limitation for even intellect. Blank areas teach humans how to have certainty and call for iman, isn't it? That's how. How do you have trust? There has to be some ambiguous. How can you say you have good thinking of someone unless you see them in a situation that triggers bad thinking, and then you say, I trust you, I will not think bad of you, isn't it? If someone says to you, I'm really patient, and you are in good terms, and you never irritated them, their patience is claim, isn't it? You have to irritate them, and they say, I'm not going to be irritated. Then you say, MashaAllah, you have a lot of patience. How can someone claim that they have good character unless you make them angry and you see they are supposed to display bad character and they display good character? MashaAllah, I have seen them in good times and bad times. You know, one beautiful thing Ibn Qayyim al-Jawziyah said. Ibn Qayyim al-Jawziyah has a book called Saydul Khatar, Captured Thoughts. It's available in English. Beautiful book. Beautiful. Wallahi, I advise everyone. Don't be daunted by the size. It's like 1,000 pages, but in Arabic it's actually 250 pages. But they just published it in big font and separated. But it's a beautiful book. I think it's like 40 something pounds or 30 something pounds on Amazon. It's really, really nice. He says Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not allow us to know the reality of the soul. When we asked about the soul, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, it belongs to the realm of my Lord. Why? He said, because human beings are inquisitive. If we knew it, we will ask what is after it. So if we can't know what is the reality of the soul, then knowing the reality of God is not even within our question. If I fail to know what is less, then I can't ask about what is more. But once you know the reality of the soul, then you will say, what is next to what's above that? God. Isn't it? He says, إِنَّمَا مَنَعَهُمْ. Allah has banned us from knowing the reality of the soul because we are inquisitive. If we get you have always to imagine, if you give everything to your child, there will be nothing that you can, no incentives. You have always to give them a bit and then hold a bit. Give a bit and hold a bit. Muawiyah ibn Abi Sufyan says, if there was a hair between me and people, if me and people are on the other side and I'm on this side, if we have a hair, if we're holding into the sides of what? The ends of what? One hair. This hair would never be cut. They said, how come? He said, if people pull it, I will release it. If they release it, I'll pull it. You see that? You see, so like you deal with people in that way. People are too soft with you, be a bit serious. They're a bit serious, be a bit soft. You walk into the house, it's very tense, be joking. It's very joking, be tense. When you are serious for a bit, have a bit of fun. They say أفض طبعك المكدود بالجد راحة وعلله بشيء من المزح. When you are serious all the time, you become exhausted. So give a bit of fun and joking and stuff like that. But then they say ولكن إذا أعطيته المزح فليكن بمقدار ما تعطي الطعام من الملح. But make fun in your words similar to salt in the food. You don't add 1 kilo of salt, just like a pinch of salt. So add some salt here and there. So blank areas teach human beings to have certainty and call for iman. Belief in the unseen means that you trust that you cannot sensually experience it. Now we believe in the unseen every day, isn't it? No, I'm seeing.
Where do we draw the line for the finite mind to comprehend the infinite?
Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has hidden things from you and has manifested things from you. In this world, He has manifested things from you, to you, and has hidden things from you. When He hid things in this world from you, He wants you to explore them. The akhirah, put it this way, unseen by default, the akhirah is by default hidden. The exception is manifest. This life, it's manifest. The exception is what? Hidden. So you should treat it as this is an explorative realm, but akhirah is a submissive realm. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said to you, فِيهَا فَاكِهَةٌ. In Jannah there is fruit. It will be so stupid of you to say, well, what's the taste of that fakihah? What's the size of that fakihah? How does it really look? Is it really sweet? What if I'm diabetic? Will I be able to have it or not? Isn't it? But in this life, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put things in front of you. We deal with unseen in every day, isn't it? Do you know if you will live till the end of this day? You don't know. Do you know if you will be able to digest the food of today? You don't know. Do you know if you will be able to go to sleep tonight? You don't know. So we deal with unseen so that we have an experience of the unseen. Belief in the unseen is the only way to show the difference between a theist and an atheist. How do we know that someone is a believer and someone is not a believer? Again, as I gave you an example before, how do we know the difference between a patient individual and an impatient individual? You might say as much as you wish, I'm very patient. You know what? I'm really patient. I'm really, really patient. Well, you said it 3 times in a minute. That's impatient, isn't it? Or someone says to his wife, you know what? I really love you. I really, really love you. And then in the morning he slanders her and he beats her up and he's abusive towards her. Where is the love? Well, I really love you. You don't hurt someone whom you love. Well, and if you do it at a fit of anger and then you say, I'm really sorry, I will not do this again. But frequently, every day, that's not love. That's abuse. You can't be abusive and loving at the same time. They don't work together, isn't it? So that's the only difference that's the only way to know someone is an atheist and another is what? Theist. Right? Sidi Bilal, do we stop here? طيب جزاكم الله خير بارك الله فيكم